If all is Brahman, then why do we have so many gods and different class of texts like Veda, Upanishad, Agama, Purana, and different branches of philosophy like Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Mimamsa to describe the ultimate reality? Dr. Kashyap, the famous physicist whose computational method on discrete linear system was useful to determine the shortest path to moon, unveiled the logical, psychological, and a social argument behind the concept of many gods.
What is the difference between the Semitic God, Greek gods, I have to put the plural, and the Hindu devas? When we speak of Semitics, there are three major religions. All of them were, came out of, shall we say, the modern Jerusalem and that sort of thing. It is the earliest religion is the Jewish religion, Abrahamic religion it is called. Then came the Christianity of our Christ, and then came Islam associated with Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad. In all of them, there is the idea of only one God. Therefore, the only G-O-D, there is only one God is there. So for the Christians, that one God had only one Son. And that one Son is our Jesus Christ. For the Islam, that one God had only one Prophet. That one Prophet is the Muhammad. That is this idea. Therefore, the God is different, man is different. There is a big barrier. Therefore, how should you approach the God? By fear of the God. You go to a Mount Carmel college, there is a big display there. The fear of God is the beginning of the wisdom and that sort of thing. Therefore, we can't love Him, no. We can't be friendship, no. There is a barrier between them. There is only one God. Is beyond description. That is true in the Jewish religion, it is true in the Christians, it is true in the Islam. Of course, these things, their God is superior, and so the idea of the one God. Therefore, somehow people are fascinated with the idea of one God, just as you like one king, one God. Therefore, that is this point, Therefore, people like Dayananda and others, what they thought Veda also had one God. No, that is not true. It's much different. We had many gods who worked harmoniously. Therefore, the one God, clearly you can't, that is this idea. If you have 100 friends, you can ask one friend for a help. If you have one friend in America, whom do you call? That is this question. Therefore, our gods are so many, we call them, they come and help. There is a need for multiple gods also. Make a distinction. So, one common factor of the Abrahamic religions, that is Judaism, Christianity and Islam, you see. But among them, Judaism is the oldest, and it has suffered also quite a bit. But remember, in the 1940s and 30s and that sort of, the Jews were 6 million supposedly were killed by our Hitler and others, and therefore, but they are very, very aggressive people, highly financially successful, highly creative, and they don't believe in conversion. Whereas both the Christians and the Islam believe in conversion. So somebody basically said, even talking to a Christian priest, you don't have to follow the Christian Bible at all. Only you have to not have any Hindu gods in your house, eat meat and drink liquor and go to the church every Sunday. That's all you have to do. Before we said, we can't live like Christ. No, we don't ask you to do that. So similarly the case in Islam also. The Greek gods are quite different. Remember, Greek is much, much earlier. The problem was, it is this. So the Greek gods are more different. They are the gods in the Greek religion. It's a complex thing. They also have multiplicity of gods, many gods. Zeus is there, God in charge of them. and different goddesses are there. You see, it is difficult to put everything in one sentence. There are also many gods. But there is one fundamental difference between the Vedic, our Devas, and the Greek gods. Greek gods are definitely, in some sense, they encourage very much heroism, the idea of beauty, harmony, all of these are encouraged like in their basic books, later is there. One difference is important. In the Veda, a god is like a king. Kutsa is one of the devotees. So in many hymns he helps Kutsa. But at some point, some of these kings side with negative forces also. Therefore, when the king sides with negative forces, even minor, then Indra doesn't support. Indra supports only on the basis of full discrimination. In the Greek, that's not true. They have a sort of a loyalty to a particular one. They will support him all the time. It's a very complex subject, Greek gods. Therefore, I won't go into it at all. So, Devas are the source of light because for them we have the complete books of the Veda describing them and that sort of thing. And Sri Aurobindo, who knew the Greek gods very well, and others, there are some common factors obviously are there because they also worshipped beauty. That is important as idea. They didn't want to have ugliness, and they also sort of wanted friendship and all of good. Therefore, there are so many Greek visitors who came to India. For example, now a new book has come which basically shows that Pythagoras, for example, we have the Pythagoras theorem. Most of you who were struggled in your high school know that Pythagoras theorem is there. But he never wrote any such thing because he didn't believe in writing. It was a name. But he did come to India. That is the word of many researchers and that sort of thing. For all of them came to India, all the because they felt Hindus have a definite knowledge. And at that time Egypt was also a great country, but all of them came to India. Therefore, the Greeks by and large had great respect for India. That is this question. So even when sort of, see what happened was, our Alexander, he didn't even know the size of India. Therefore, he simply came to the northwest. Then they pointed, somebody from the Indian people showed him a map. This is well documented there. The distances. For him it was shocking that he has to cross all that 2,000 kilometers this way, left to right. They said it's not. His army, once they knew about it, they said nothing doing. They are going to go back. He went back. And this is documented in the Greek thing itself. Therefore, Greek exceedingly is a different culture, very creative culture. And all said and done, one Indian points out. In Greeks, by and large, for example, we speak of the Helen of Troy, the battle between the Greeks and the Trojans and that sort of thing. They glorify battles. And also it is a comment made by a sort of a Greek. So they destroy cities. Remember this guy, sort of Achilles, he goes all around and then But he says, this Greek person says, is it not better to build cities than destroy cities? Then he says these Hindus, they build cities, beautiful cities. For example, a person like I forget his name, who came along with Ghazni and that sort of thing. He was really amazed to see the bathing ghats in the rivers. Therefore, the architecture level of the Muslims of the Ghazni period was basically zero. He was so impressed. We think it is very easy. You put the steps there, you go there and you take a bath and come out. We arrange them so nicely, they look nice. For them it was a great thing. Therefore, so we have speak the idea of the Devas. I particularly focus again and again of the Devas of the Vedic period. Deva means source of light. and the source of strength coupled with wisdom. He simply doesn't worry. Not like us, we become angry with a person we want to punish. No such thing. Everywhere in the Veda, there is a friendship of the gods. That's why the first Sukta says, "O Agni, treat me just as a father would treat his son." Another mantra says, "O Agni, I am your friend." Therefore, maybe we are, another mantra basically say, "I am you and you are me." That's how Soma says in one mantra. Therefore, this idea that they are just as if they are, even though one is a cosmic power and another one is ordinary human being, still they didn't consider them low. Next question. These questions will be brief, answers will be brief. Question. There are many Vedic hymns where sun, S-U-N, is considered as a spiritual force or a spiritual power. Sunlight is the cause of photosynthesis, and this physical phenomenon everybody can observe. How is the spiritual aspect of sun's power different from physical aspect? The physical aspect, nobody can even observe the photosynthesis. That's a different question. Even there is no such thing. It is very difficult. But what I am saying is, we observe the rain falling, and rain is it is our sun who makes the ocean water evaporate. He has the power of the wind which pushes the wind. Therefore, he gives us the water in different places. Therefore, we don't have to worry about the physical aspects of sun. But then the question people ask, Westerners don't understand, that who gives us all this higher level of thoughts, appreciating beauty, harmony? How do we get our creative thoughts? Therefore, in India we have all the Veda books precisely because it is the spiritual sun who manifests in us the power of creativity. And that is our basic Rigveda mantra. Therefore, he first of all wants us to become aware of the diversity in nature, from the smallest millimeter like flower, the huge flowers and everything else, and then ask us in some sense to develop the good thoughts in us which develop harmony and beauty and strength and power. Therefore, only the spiritual sun can solve all of these problems. And therefore, as I told you earlier, there is this different powers, like the powers, the cosmic powers of hearing, seeing, and who is in charge of all. Therefore, the supreme sun, supreme power, is in some sense in charge of all, as it were. That's what we understand. That is the need for the spiritual sun. Next question. Is it true we can never understand spiritual forces but only experience? My argument is, can you ever understand a taste at all? Take a very simple thing. Can you understand taste? Answer is no. Only you can experience a particular taste. You say it is sour, it is sweet. Same thing in life, you don't understand anything. Only the people who are very arrogant think they understand, but they understand only a very, very little things. But we say, why don't you accept the idea, more experience we get, then automatically it becomes knowledge for us. A good cook simply doesn't only cook. He has taken so many different dishes, he can tell, hey, this is not correct, this is the way it should be. So that is this idea. Third question. A gravitational force is a controversial force, as we cannot find any particle for this force. Whether Veda can explain this in a different way. Yes, Veda is not stuck with these ideas of particles and forces. So Veda says the cosmic power is a cosmic power. It cannot be condensed into any particle and that sort of thing. It exists. There are so many different cosmic powers is there. Only gravitation is only one of them. Electromagnetic spectrum is another one of them. Therefore, it is not stuck with all of these things. This point, the physicists are people who not all of them are bright, or not all of them are sort of, this sort of thing I have told you in this, discussed in the structure of scientific revolution book I have told you. The ninth book is very important. Ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti. Is a mantra speculate there is only one God, universal alone? No, sir. It doesn't say anything like that. Ekam is unity. Sat exists. Therefore, it doesn't. See, that's the reason in Western theory, when you speak of a branch of religion, they call it as theology. Theo means God. Then you can say, isn't there branches where we can think of ideal power but no God? Then use the word agnostic. That is this idea. So, ekam sat, one exists. But many people define it in different ways. Here there is no question of religion at all. It is valid for everything. There is a method of education. Different people view it in different way. There is a method of, shall we say, growing all the food. The different people view it in a different way. Therefore, it doesn't say all of them are equally valid. It doesn't say that. There people are non-vegetarians are there. They slaughter the animal. They still think they want to, shall we say, they promote the, shall we say, ecology. That simply is not true. Therefore, ekam sat means the one unity exists. That is true in all aspects. It is true in education, it is true in health, it is true in any subject. Therefore, it is also true. Therefore, it doesn't mean there is something called universal religion is there. Such things are bad ideas precisely because, just like take our health problem, our Ayurveda, our homeopathy, our allopathy, they start from different assumptions. Allopathy thinks everything is a machine. That is this idea. Ayurveda is a part of the Veda. We think everything is from the cosmic powers. Therefore, how can you say Ayurveda obviously completely opposed to the idea of the machines? Therefore, if something is useful though, we have all the tests. Therefore, we won't go to the question. Therefore, it does not, ekam sat does not say about universal religion, one God. It doesn't say that. Ekam is unity, means, as I told you, when so many cosmic powers are in harmony, that is the unity. That is this idea. What is Swarga or Devaloka? This question Krishna has answered. Normally we think, you see, every being must have an abode or a place. Therefore, you think of the gods as powers, but they are everywhere. They need to be in one place. But still, human beings, being human beings, we want a place. Therefore, we call it as Devaloka. Loka comes from the word lochana, to see. Therefore, where we can see the gods, that is Devaloka. But you can easily see it is meant for people who feel, just as I have a home, their gods also should have a home. Therefore, this Naraka and Swarga, therefore you don't worry about Naraka, I will tell you both of them. Krishna, in the Bhagavatam, this question is asked. What is this Naraka and Swarga? Are they places? There are so many worlds are there. He says, no. He says, see, we have a mind, it has three qualities, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Sattva is full of light. Rajas wants activity without light or doesn't matter. And Sattva means activity included. And Tamas means it doesn't care. Therefore he says, the rise of Sattva in the mind is the Swarga. And the descent of the mind into the Tamas, it is the Naraka. For later, people have stories of people being punished here. These are all stories. That is the idea. We don't have to sort of worry about it. We don't know. First of all, number one, to say it is true or not true is not our question. In individual belief. But there is alternative belief also is there. I have told you that here. That is, Swarga means the rise, the state of consciousness where the light predominates. Whenever you are working in a library, when your consciousness is, then you are in Swarga. But on the other hand, you are worrying only about losses you have suffered or bad words used. Even though you are on earth, you are really in the Naraka. That is this idea. Therefore, Sarga and Naraka indicate the state of consciousness of the human beings. Therefore, if they are in the sattvic state, it is Swarga. If they are in the purely tamasic state, Naraka. Again, there are so many grades are there. So we speak of the sufferings of psychological sufferings, or come under that category. Next question. Is it true Bhakti cult and temple worship are later age and Veda is against it? Temple worship I cannot say, because you see, earlier it was the Vedic altar served everything. It was also a temple, place of a worship and that sort of thing. And for various reasons, the temple worship started later. But the worshipping of Vigraha, we speak of, yes, so the idea of having a small statue, that is mentioned in Taittiriya Aranyaka also. Therefore, it is along with the altar, it says you have the sort of the hymns and everything else, you place this icon, the statue there, and that sort of offer it the food. So it is mentioned in the Taittiriya Aranyaka. Therefore, I told you how we have Veda Samhita first, then the Brahmana books, then the Aranyaka and the Upanishad. Therefore, Taittiriya Aranyaka I am speaking of, it has 10 books. It is in the second, last is our Upanishads, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Temple worship is clearly a later thing. Therefore, when they started off this small icon, then people started. Therefore, for when we are doing this fire worship, what happens when you have heavy rains, when all of these things are there? Can we not do in a closed enclosure? But then they understood, we can't have a full-fledged fire ceremony in a closed ceremony because of all the smoke. Then the idea of having a icon within some sort of a enclosure. It didn't have the fancy temple there, much later, much later. People say at least, one of the earliest temples in India, Vigraha at least, is Tirupati Vigraha. It is at least, let us say, 2000 years old, about 1000, beginning of this century. Therefore, that is there, and also the famous Nataraja statue. That is much later, but this Tirupati one is considered very old. It is only later the temple came into picture. Therefore, what did they do with the temple? They took the shape of one of the Vedic altars, trapezial form, and built that. They placed our idol, our statue, our Vigraha in that. That is the idea. So, back side of the Vigraha is the big side of the trapezium. The front door when we go is the small side of the trapezium. Therefore, it is there. Next question. How do we distinguish Brahma and Atma? They are the concepts of the Upanishads. Each human being is there. Human being is not a simple thing. In some sense, we have so many things. As I told you, knowledge is not sitting in the book, it is inside you. Therefore, we think of everything characterizing an individual as Atman. Then, you have an Atman, I have an Atman, he is an Atman, she has an Atman. Then, in some sense, that power which accepts everything, other animals, plants, we call it as the Brahma. Sarvam khalu idam Brahma. Therefore, everything is included in the Brahma. Then the great insight came that, what we call as Atman, Brahman is also there. The Brahman is equal to Atman. That idea was used very much by our Schrödinger, the person who started the wave mechanics and that sort of thing. So Brahman is that which encompasses everything. Therefore it is not abstract though. Therefore we have the phrase Tajjalan Shantam Upasita Tat Ja. Everything that's born, La, that which decays, An, which breathes. All of it is put together is Brahman. Therefore individual Atman is there. Therefore we shouldn't ask the question, Atman, does it end up with our skin? No, Atman also has an infinite range. For Brahman equal to Atman. That's how I can read other people's minds and everything. Brahman equal to Atman. But people are not satisfied with it. They would like to have the idea of what we may call a creative God and a maintaining God and and shall we say changing, not destroying. Remember, only change is destruction in some sense. Therefore, then we have the gods, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva or Ishvara. Vishnu is the maintaining God, Brahma. Remember, Brahma is different from Brahman, Brahma, so-called four-handed Brahma. So we have the idea of the gods, the three gods. Again, an argument is, we have, as I told you, billions of persons, one idea won't satisfy. The Brahman Atman idea will satisfy some people. What about the others? We have people like us. Hey, for you, Trimurti idea is there, three. So creation. So of course there is harmony among them and stories among them. Then also this Purusha Prakriti idea is a very, very important idea. It is developed at great detail in Bhagavad Gita also. The point is, Bhagavad Gita says, you see, we have human beings and we have our organs, hearing, teaching, everything. He calls it as the lower Prakriti. But the higher Prakriti is what he calls as the Jiva. Why does he call it Prakriti? Because that is which carries out the things. And therefore there is also a Purusha idea is there. Idea is perceiving something to be done, that is the idea of a Purusha. Doing the details, that is the Prakriti. Therefore that we think of the mother as the Prakriti because she does all the work. We think of the lady goddesses and that sort of thing. So Purusha in some sense is that which projects what has to be done. Prakriti is that which manifests it. Therefore, mother made the idea. Without Purusha, Prakriti doesn't exist. Without Prakriti, Purusha cannot manifest. Therefore, something has to exist and everything else, what we call in modern language superstructure, and some other power which executes all these things we see. So Purusha is that superstructure which allows the Prakriti. Therefore the mother said, without the Purusha, Prakriti cannot exist. But without the Prakriti, the Purusha cannot manifest all his details. So Purusha and Prakriti are fundamental powers. There is distinction, they are different. Again the old question, why do we need it? Because exactly the reason. In nature we don't find everything in one thing. That is the idea. Everybody does different things. Therefore even at our house, our lady is the mother who cooks all the details and that sort of thing. For that is the ideal Prakriti. She is Adi Prakriti. That is this idea. And the Purusha is the person who goes, he tills the land, he gets the work. Therefore this idea is there. So Purusha explains certain things has to be done. The Prakriti does it. Therefore it is true even at an ordinary level also. But it is much more complicated. Last question. Only God exists and all other are illusion. Is this the Advaitic concept? My argument is we should not put Advaita is an exceedingly difficult subject and we don't want one line explanation of that, number one. Number two, what Shankaracharya, is famous for three things. His bhashyas or commentaries on the Upanishads, 12 Upanishads, his commentary on the Brahma Sutra, and his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. These are the main works. And the whole Maya comes only, they are all fat books, only 4 times, that's all. Therefore, so the idea you think Maya is, shall we say, illusion, no, that's not true. He basically said, everything is pervaded by a reality we call Brahma. But at a transactional level, I am eating a fruit, I am cooking the food, what is it? These are all different ways of, shall we say, Maya, measuring, and different ways of knowledge. Therefore, all of this he called it as the lower knowledge, transactional knowledge. And that is the word he used for Maya. Therefore, all things are used for transactions only. Therefore, when you are not worried about when you are deep meditating, we don't even have a thought. Therefore, we are thinking only of that supreme. We shouldn't use the word one. The idea of one and many doesn't exist. So that is the main point which people don't understand. Advaita means not two. It doesn't mean one. That is this idea. Therefore, there is no, you say A. Whenever A is there, B is there. Therefore, there is no A nor B. Therefore, you shouldn't use the word one so casually. Therefore, only God exists, other solution. So, I don't like these one-line descriptions. But Shankaracharya is great for saying there is a higher reality which cannot be put in terms of two things, Dvaita. Advaita means that which does not have any two things. That's all Advaita means. Therefore, our normal idea of one does not help us because it is based on the many. One there because of the 2 or 3. Therefore, that is not the idea. Maya is what we may call as the knowledge we use in our transactional life. That is all the knowledge. That is so, according to him, we pray to the God. That's also part of the transactional knowledge. Therefore, whenever we have we get desires get. So that's the reason why it is very difficult to understand Shankaracharya. And number 2, Shankaracharya's things we have to understand, knowing Sanskrit very well. For example, you take the word karma. In Shankaracharya's work, it has 3 completely different meanings. For example, karma, he says, karma and knowledge are opposed to each other. So people are all one. Does it mean no? What he is saying is very different. He is interpreting karma as a ritual work, what we call as the yajna. He simply say, higher knowledge cannot be obtained by means of a physical act. That's all he is saying. But karma he also means the work at large we do, and karma also means, the leftovers are what we call as the karma theory. So, unless you have some grasp of basic Sanskrit and eagerness to, so most people are eager to argue, that's all. But all Veda basically says, people who are eager to argue, they don't want the truth, because the truth will not come to him. Eager disputant, he wants to show I am correct and you are wrong. But a person says, no human being can be completely correct because new knowledge comes in. Nobody has full knowledge. And so today we end this long session and thank you.